What were you doing when you were just days away from starting college or graduating high school? Or if you're not there yet, what do you plan on doing? Most of us were scared yet excited for this new chapter of our lives. Maybe you were ready to spread your wings and go to college in another city, another state, or even another country. Maybe you were missing your parents already, even though you were still very much in their company. Life was unpredictable at that moment, but you savored every moment of it nonetheless. In June of 2016, 3 weeks after her 18th birthday, seasoned horse rider and 2016 rodeo lady-in-waiting Ashley Doolittle was also in the same place. She had just graduated from Berthoud High School in May, and she'd been accepted into Colorado State University. Everything was planned out and things were looking good for Ashley. But on June 9th, when she failed to return home and didn't answer her texts or calls, worry started to eat away at her siblings. A day later, though, the Doolittle family was given some news, but it wasn't what they were expecting at all. Ashley had been killed. But who could have done it? Well, it didn't take the police long to figure out, since the killer was arrested at the same time that Ashley's body was found. The disturbing case of Ashley Doolittle shook Colorado to its core. Who would have thought that Ashley would get mercilessly killed by someone who was so close to her? Well, it's said that human beings are the scariest monsters since they've mastered the art of hiding their viciousness in plain sight. And it's so sad to see that Ashley saw the monster's mask slip just before her life was tragically taken. Welcome to True Crime Stories. If you're new here, I post new true crime documentaries every single week. So if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe. It's totally free and just keeps you up to date with all of my future cases. Ashley Marie Doolittle was born on May 20th of 1998 in Louisville, Colorado, to parents Anne Marie and Jeff Doolittle. Ashley also had two brothers, Brandon and Michael. She grew up in Lafayette and attended Louisville Middle School and Centaurus High School until her sophomore year, before the family moved to Berthoud, where she attended Berthoud High School until she graduated. Ashley, ever since she was young, had been bright and energetic. If Ashley's passions could be boiled down to three things only, then it would be horses, agriculture, and leaving a legacy behind. At the young age of 5, Ashley rode her first pony, and things changed for her at that moment in the best way possible. She knew that horses were going to be the center of her world from that point on. According to Ashley's mom, Anne Marie, horses were her life. The Doolittle house had a huge outdoor farm and riding space, and Ashley was usually found there tending to her animals and perfecting her ride. By the age of 18, Ashley had participated in numerous horse championships and had won several of them. Given her involvement in horse projects, races, judging, and everything else, Ashley was a respected person among her peers. Living in Colorado only made Ashley thrive in the best way possible. Alongside horses, she was also passionate about agriculture. Her contributions and participation in the Boulder County Fair led her to apply for the agricultural business program at Colorado State University. Ashley was over the moon when she received her acceptance letter in the mail, and her family knew that Ashley was destined to make a significant difference in her field. Ashley was also named the 2016 Rodeo Lady-in-Waiting, meaning she essentially became the mentor for the younger members of the rodeo. Outside of the rodeo, Ashley's main source of comfort was her horse, Bubba. These two were soulmates, and if you've never owned a horse or any similar animal, just know that for a horse owner, well, their animals are just as important as the humans in their lives. But Ashley also had another important male in her life, Tanner Flores, her boyfriend. Tanner and Ashley, a year apart in age, met in high school, and the two quickly became close and started a relationship. Tanner was the polar opposite of Ashley. He was a high school dropout and had plans of staying near his hometown to help his father out with his trucking business. Ashley and Tanner's relationship, it was okay in the beginning, but very soon it started to fall apart, and the reason was Tanner and his controlling behavior. Within a year of the relationship, Ashley started to see how manipulative Tanner was. He was pretty much a control freak. He always wanted to make sure he was in charge, and more than anything else, he wanted to be in charge of Ashley. Tanner was hell-bent on dictating Ashley's life, from what she could and couldn't do, where she was going, and who she met. Tanner had to know everything. Now, a healthy amount of jealousy and curiosity is good in a relationship, but Tanner supposedly went far beyond that. He'd be checking her phone all hours of the day, questioning her about every person she spoke with. The list goes on and on. It's safe to say that Ashley was tired of Tanner's behavior and decided to break things off with him. But Tanner didn't get the memo. It was as if Ashley was talking to a brick wall when she wanted to break up with Tanner. Tanner would have none of it and was constantly badgering Ashley to get back together with him. He would bombard Ashley with texts, wearing her down and accusing her of cheating, even though they were officially broken up already. One text from Tanner in particular, sent on June 8th of 2016, was very alarming, and it'll leave you understandably fuming. It said, quote, "I hope you realize what you threw away. I gave you everything and spent so much money on you. You are nothing near loyal. I'm gonna do something stupid now. Bye." Keep in mind that this text was sent after Ashley had already broken things off with Tanner for good. It was as if he thought that this behavior would make her run back into his arms, but it gets worse. Turns out Tanner would always threaten Ashley that he might harm himself if Ashley didn't get back together with him or reply to his texts. So his mention of doing something stupid may have been a way to get a rise out of her and get her attention. Tanner also constantly asked Ashley to meet up with him. She denied him on some occasions, and shockingly, she went on some others. But it was just to reiterate that she and Tanner were over. In a text message from Ashley, you can tell she was trying to be very polite and kind, even when Tanner was being an absolute menace. She said, quote, "I never cheated on you. I never did anything with anyone else while we were together. Our relationship has been over for a long time. I just wanted to be friends, but that isn't possible." But just a day after receiving that disturbing text from Tanner, Ashley went missing. On June 9th of 2016, Tanner had asked Ashley yet again to meet up. The plan was for Ashley to drive up to the reservoir to meet Tanner, and then the two would make their way to Carter Lake, which was a private place about 11 minutes away from their meeting spot, where they could talk about their relationship. Now, hours went by, and Ashley's parents never heard back from her. They were looking for her, and within 30 minutes at 8 p.m., Ashley's car was found in the reservoir parking lot. Ashley was immediately reported missing, and an investigation began. Friends, family, and anyone who knew Ashley was contacted, but no one had seen her, except for one person. The name Tanner Flores kept popping up in conversation, and that immediately got the police intrigued. They were horrified to learn that the couple had just broken up, and that Tanner hadn't taken that breakup well. When Tanner's friends were questioned by the police, they confessed that Tanner seemed out of sorts after the breakup with Ashley. He seemed very depressed and was even contemplating ending his life. But when Tanner's parents were questioned, the investigation changed from a single missing person case to a search for two teens. And what was even more alarming was that one of Tanner's father's loaded firearms was missing from his collection. This was not good news for the police at all. For investigators, it was a race against time to find Ashley and Tanner unharmed. A bolo was put up for Tanner's pickup truck, and the detectives were searching everywhere. But as quickly as things started, everything came to a stop on June 10th, when someone called the police and notified them that Tanner's truck had been found. But it was 5 hours away from where Ashley went missing, in Colburn, Colorado. Coincidentally, the truck was found on land that was actually owned by Tanner's grandfather, who had since passed away. While the investigators were making that 5-hour journey, a wildlife ranger was keeping tabs on the truck, and what he saw was absolutely harrowing. It turned out that Tanner was in the truck, and he was spotted throwing blood-stained rags out of it. And if that wasn't alarming enough, Tanner was also seen lugging around a rolled-up blanket from his grandfather's house and loading it in the back seat of the truck. The witnesses expected the worst, and they were counting down the minutes until the detectives arrived because the place, well, it looked like something terrible had gone down. As soon as the detectives got there, Tanner was arrested on the spot, and when the blanket was unraveled, it revealed what you were probably expecting. 18-year-old Ashley Doolittle was found wrapped up inside. She had tragically been fired at 3 times at close range, and the person behind the trigger, without question, was Tanner. It was just so heartbreaking and disturbing to imagine what Ashley must have been thinking during those final moments. The fact that her former boyfriend was behind all of this, simply because he couldn't imagine her breaking up with him, is just so chilling. Well, the investigators now had Tanner in custody, but was he cooperative during the investigation? Obviously not. Tanner still thought that he could try to lie his way out of the clutches of the law, even though the whole scene was clear as day. But the story that Tanner told the police, well, if you thought Tanner's violent act was enough to make your blood boil, just wait until you hear his initial version of events, because it'll make you pull your hair out. During a recorded police interview, Tanner admitted to meeting Ashley at Lon Hagler Reservoir to talk things out. According to him, the pair drove to Carter Lake and the chat went well. But sometime later, when they were making their way back to the reservoir, it was Ashley who got a hold of the gun and aimed it at her own head. For what reason, we don't know. Anyway, Tanner, being the hero he claimed to be, tried to wrestle the gun away from her, and during the struggle, the gun went off and hit Ashley. Pretty convenient aim, if you ask me. But the thing is, Tanner claims that this first accidental shot didn't end Ashley's life, so he took it upon himself to fire twice more and end her suffering rather than calling an ambulance. The story was unbelievable, and obviously the investigators knew that he was lying, but not long after, Tanner realized that the jig was up and his lie wasn't going to let him out that easily, and he confessed to the crime. Tanner admitted that Ashley's death was not planned at all and that it happened out of the blue. The breaking point for Tanner was the way Ashley looked at him after the inevitable argument about their breakup in his truck. Ashley had apparently glared at him, and this caused Tanner to lose all control. After he was sure that Ashley was no longer alive, he took her phone and texted himself at 4:26 p.m., pretending to be her, saying, "I'm not meeting you today." After his statement, Tanner was held at the Mesa County Jail, and then he was transferred to Larimer County Jail. And not long after, Tanner was charged with first-degree murder and the kidnapping of Ashley. He was awaiting trial, which began in October of 2017, over a year after the tragic and sudden attack on Ashley. The main puzzle to solve in the trial was not to prove whether Tanner committed the murder or not. It was to prove whether it was premeditated or not. See, Tanner's defense was looking at second-degree murder charges if the crime was found to be sudden and unplanned by the jury, whereas the prosecution was trying to convince the jury otherwise. Well, that was revealed quickly when Tanner's actions on the day of the crime were brought to light. Now, we know that Tanner and Ashley had met up at Lon Hagler Reservoir, after which they made a drive to Carter Lake. Now it was revealed that this wasn't Tanner's first time visiting that lake. It turned out that Tanner had actually gone to the lake alone on the morning of the attack with his father's gun to practice his aim. Now, Carter Lake was also a very remote place, and according to the prosecution, it was Tanner's way of scoping out the best area for carrying out the crime, without any witnesses. Furthermore, Tanner's video interview also provided a lot of insight into what was going through his mind at the time of the attack. First of all, when the detective asked Tanner why he aimed for Ashley's head rather than her chest or anywhere else, Tanner's response was mind-boggling. He went on to say, quote, "I thought that it would just be an instant thing." So this completely tossed Tanner's defense out the window because not only did he prepare for the crime beforehand, but he also had clear intentions of not letting Ashley walk out of his truck alive after their meeting. And that's just so sickening. To add to that, Tanner's choice of weapon was a single-action revolver. This means that after a single shot, the gun had to be cocked again in order to fire again. He could have stopped, and he had several chances to do that, but he unfortunately didn't. Rather, Tanner made sure that Ashley didn't survive, which is why he fired at her a third time after the first two shots were unable to end her life. He also attempted to cover his tracks by using Ashley's phone to text himself. To imagine that a barely 19-year-old man was capable of acting so coldly and ruthlessly is just unbelievable. And speaking of unbelievable, Tanner's public defender went on to say that even though Tanner had ended Ashley's life, it wasn't premeditated. According to Tanner's defense, he acted on feelings of apparent hurt and was distressed that Ashley was breaking up with him and that she was no longer in love with him, while he was very much still head over heels for her. Tanner's defense continuously called Ashley the love of Tanner's life, which is so strange and completely irrelevant if you ask me. It's almost like this public defender was saying, remember, she was the love of his life, so this crime was somewhat understandable, which is just mind-blowing. But thankfully, this trial was nearly over. On October 5th of 2017, Tanner Flores was found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole, plus an additional 32 years for the kidnapping charge, which was mainly built on the grounds of holding Ashley in his truck and not letting her leave. At the sentencing, Ashley's mom, Anne Marie, took the stand and delivered a powerful yet heart-wrenching statement, saying, quote, "Tanner did more than murder Ashley. He destroyed 2 families." It's so heartbreaking to see Anne Marie being so compassionate about the Flores family, too. Even in her darkest and most profound moments of despair, she made sure to think of the hurt that Tanner's family was enduring as well. And if this doesn't speak to the type of people that the Doolittle family are, then I don't know what will. Ashley's funeral was held on June 17th, 2016, and around 700 people showed up at St. John the Evangelical Catholic Parish in Loveland to say their final goodbyes to Ashley. Ashley was no stranger to this church. In fact, just a month back in May of 2016, Ashley was up on the church stage being recognized for graduating high school. But now, a casket lay, and hundreds of people surrounded the now passed Ashley and remembered her light, her life, and the moments that made everyone happy. Tanner Flores, the reason why the Doolittle family forgot how to laugh and smile, was finally behind bars. But the wound he inflicted on the Doolittle family and the rest of the community is still fresh. Ashley became an unknowing victim of abuse in an otherwise innocent young relationship. This is something that her parents will never be able to move past. Abuse in relationships can go unnoticed most of the time, especially when it's masked behind things that people usually find normal. It's a gray area that people need to be aware of, and that's what the Doolittle family pledged to do. The Doolittle family, in honor of Ashley, founded the Ashley Doolittle Foundation in March of 2017. It's a platform to raise awareness of abuse in early and teen relationships. It's all about educating young people who don't have the first idea of abuse and violence in relationships. The foundation aims to navigate young teens and anyone who wants to foster a healthy relationship with their significant others. The focus of the foundation is to recognize the issue and deal with it before it grows into something worse. As for Ashley's contribution to the rodeo royalty community, she was posthumously crowned the Rodeo Queen in 2017. The silver lining for Ashley's family and for everyone who adored her is that she lives on in the form of her legacy. Even though Ashley had a lot of good to give to the world, she's now unable to do so. The Doolittle family has taken it upon themselves to spread Ashley's enthusiasm and love for all things horses, agriculture, and Western culture. Colorado State University, where Ashley had been accepted, also paid homage to her, remembering her as a bright and successful young lady who had so much more to accomplish in the world. Ashley's dream of the Princess Project also spread its wings in 2017, and every year, 2 girls are selected from the program, known as Ashley's Princesses, who take this project forward and work to promote their unique Western heritage. The aim of the Princess Project is to introduce others to the Western lifestyle and build their own tribe of self-reliant, free, and loyal people. And luckily, it's in good hands that will carry on Ashley's message and help her goal reach completion. It's so hard to see young, accomplished, and smart people falling into the trap of abuse in a violent relationship, and they eventually lose themselves. One wrong move in their personal life can prove to be devastating and have lifelong impacts, some worse than others. Victims of abuse and violence in relationships are left feeling guilty, worthless, and all of the light is drained from their eyes, often because of one single person. Leaving abusive relationships, it's easier said than done. And this is the biggest and scariest step that most people are afraid of taking. This is why it's so important to know and look out for signs of an abusive relationship. If you can see them, then you can save yourself. Know that there is help around and you can find your way back to yourself. You deserve to experience the best in life, but it's also up to you to find that for yourself and never settle for someone who can't stand seeing you succeed in every walk of life. We're all worth so much more than that. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of True Crime Stories. I wanted to give a special thank you to a couple channel members, including Kai Oliver and Daniel Castillo Silva. If you also want to become a member of the channel, you'll gain access to new videos sometimes days or weeks before they're uploaded to the public, and it's currently the best way you can support the channel and help out, and I really appreciate those of you who have decided to do that. If you want to join, you can click that big join button below the video, or find the link in the description. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, check out this other interesting case I covered, and don't forget to subscribe. It's totally free and keeps you up to date with all of my future videos. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.